Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is a musician on the move, a modern day troubadour. When not on the road lending his talents to other groups, he is miles from nowhere. With a collection of singles and an EP in tow, he is touting his blend of indie soul and alt pop. His 2023 release of Slow Down, an ambling adventure in 8 tracks. Drawing on life's lessons, losses, and loves, he composes songs that are once deeply personal and uniting in their relatability. So, let's spill the tea with Miles Evans-Branagh. Welcome, Miles.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Now, you do come from a musical family. Your mom, your dad was in a band, and you've actually done some gigs with your dad, which is very interesting. And you've got a couple of brothers. One's a musician, and so tell us about the influences that your father had on your musical career.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as I can remember, music's been around my life. I mean, my dad put me into um piano. He's a guitar player, but I he put me into piano lessons, I guess, as a he learned that there's a lot of guitar players and maybe it would be better to play piano. But yeah, he obviously massive influence on me. Grew up watching him play. All of my first musical experiences were watching my dad play in various bands, freelance guitar player. Um, and I mean, on his side, the Branagh side, that musical heritage goes back generations, actually. My, and his family, they were all, they traveled around Ireland, um, playing mandolin and jug bands and things like that, touring across um, the UK. So that Branagh side has been, a musical influence on me, but it's because I've seen the way, right? I've seen it happen. I've seen how making a life at music can work,
Mhm.
and it's allowed me to kind of not have, trepidations or fear about going into this life, right? Which is not the easiest career path, I guess you could say.
You've done your classical training, and you went to Mohawk College for jazz and contemporary music, and you play a number of instruments. I mean, you said you play you do play the piano, you dabble in the guitar and bass and mandolin. How do you? There's a number of people that we interview have not done the classical training side. So, how has that classical training and Mohawk College, how has that helped you advance your career?
Um, I'd say the facility, really. I mean, and foundation. Like, I'd say getting a formal education in music, it allows you kind of the tools to, um, especially if you're working with a band, right? Like if I'm doing my music and working with other musicians and trying to explain to them or recording with them and getting what I want to hear across, gives you the vocabulary, it gives you the facility to kind of like explain what you want in terms that other musicians can also understand. Whereas if you were just like I still consider myself like an ear player first. I always was. But the formal education, allows me that other side to kind of, especially if you're working with a lot of different genres and different kind of people,
Mhm.
like it allows you to go in and out of these genres and also have the facility like under your hands as a piano player, like to kind of go in and out of genre and it provides you freedom, really, I find.
Mhm.
Um, to uh maybe be able to put in the world the idea that you have a little easier. Um, yeah, foundations for sure is what all that education gave me. And I mean, I took lessons from the age of 5. So it was like learning music. Yeah, I learned by myself as well, but I was always had teachers and people kind of showing me things, right? Including my dad.
You started playing, as you mentioned, at the Oakville Festival when you were 12 years old. So by the time you get to the open mics and you're playing on stage there, what age are you? And are you are you prepped enough that you're not getting performance anxiety anymore, or were you still a little nervous getting up on stage?
Um, the very, very first time, I still remember it, my aunt, because my dad would have been was gigging, was running it.
Hmm.
And it was I think they used to do Wednesday nights. But anyways, my aunt drove me and some of my family was there. The very first one, I was like 11 or 12, and I was terrified. I was like, "Oh my God, this is like I can't believe I'm doing this." Like I didn't want like I wanted to do it, of course, but it was like I don't think I want to do this. And they're like, "No, no, you're good. You're good. Just play. You practiced, just play." And I went in there and everyone was like, the band really helped in that instance. It was almost like um it was almost like better to have the band there.
Right,
Because if I was just by myself, I think I would have just been like, but I mean, once I got into like, around 14, 15, like it really kind of went away. It was just like I wanna like it's fun. It was playing. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm also lucky like too, like some of the bad experiences of like messing up was like I was really young.
right.
So I got some of those really bad things out of the way and learned a lot of stuff on those really early performances.
Did you eventually find out from other musicians that are doing this professionally? Did you finally get the message that everybody messes up? Like people, you forget the song, or even more embarrassing for some singer-songwriters, they forget the words to their own songs.
Yeah.
And so uh, at some point in time, you must have realized, hey, it's not just me. Other people do it too. It happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean like I used to really get hung up on like little moments in a set. Like let's say like I always played music that had solos in it. And like if the solo section didn't go great, maybe it was like I'd get hung up on that or something, like where I felt like I didn't get the idea out that I really wanted.
Hmm.
But then um that's actually more recently been like looking at the show as a whole and just wanting to put on having great energy. How does everything feel? If everything feels good, then I'm happy. And I don't really get hung up on mistakes. I mean I don't know if I've ever had a perfect show
But
in
the
my
audience
life,
doesn't
but
know. The audience
yeah.
doesn't know. You know, but the audience doesn't.
Yeah, and it's like so and a lot of people I look up to and a lot of like because I've worked with so many acts as a side musician, and seeing how everyone else looks at everyone has their own, methods or ways of looking at of what live performance is. And seeing like a lot of the other acts that I've worked with and how they do it. And a lot of them afterwards, it's like they're just like, yeah, man, that was great. Like everything was great. And it was like it's a little like they're not just blowing smoke, right? It's like if the energy was there and everything feels really good, and it was like, yeah, like this was a show. This was great.
The song we are going to hear today, Miles, is, in your words, is from a neo-funk genre vibe to the song. How do you describe neo-funk? Give us some examples of that.
Like new funk, like it's not traditional funk in the sense of like Sly and the Family Stone or James Brown or George Clinton. It's more, I'd say, a blend of like D'Angelo funk music mixed with like some indie influences. And just with some of my input. I mean, I guess when I say neo funk, like new funk, like it's kind of like my effort in the funk world.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to be a traditional funk artist, and I mean the rest of my music isn't like there's funk elements, but this was that's how I would describe it. It's like me trying to play funk, I guess.
So it should be Miles funk, not
Yeah, Miles
neo funk.
funk.
Now, when we think about funk music, like we think about, a slapping bass
Yeah.
line going on in that is what makes what draws this song into that funk? Are there any particular, pieces that when we hear the song, are there particular pieces people should be listening for?
So my whole thing is always like laying back. So this started as like a piano driven thing. Um, and it's kind of the drums are kind of subdued and I'm singing, my phrasing is really behind.
Hmm.
And it's just like everything's sitting back and grooving. And that's I think just kind of listen to where the bass and the vocals are fitting with each other. And it all works and it feels a bit wonky and I think it's great, you know.
Let's get into one of the songs that Miles wrote. This track is off the 2023 release Slowdown. The song is a D'Angelo influenced neo funk tune about killing time until the love of your life comes home. So let's take a listen to singer songwriter Miles Evans-Branagh and What Am I to Do?
What am I to do? It's been a while when you call me. Numbers to dial, you know me. I've been waiting. I've been waiting. What am I to do? Can't help but smile when I hear you. Bring out the child in me clearer. I've been thinking. Oh, you've got me thinking. What am I to do? What am I to do? Feel so alive when you're nearer, like who I see in the mirror. When you hold me, oh, when you hold me. What am I to do? 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 What am I to do?
That was Miles Evans-Branagh with his song, What Am I to Do? Miles, we hear the after you telling us what we should be listening for, we can certainly hear that that vibe through the music. It sounds like a personal song. What's the song about? Give us the person's name if they're still in your life, and then what was the inspiration behind the song?
This was one of those songs. Some songs I write the lyrics and the music together. This one we had the groove and all of the music first, and I wrote the lyrics afterwards. And it was basically like when you have time at home. So I live with my girlfriend. We've been together for some time now, and Michelle. So there's the name drop.
All right.
And you know, you when you spend a lot of time with someone, when you're not with them, it's almost like, okay, well, when are they coming back, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And it's like you develop that kind of relationship where it's like you're so used to being around each other. So it was just about kind of that, right? Okay, well, what am I to do? How am I gonna kill this time till you come back?
It's
Was
almost
kind
like
of,
a part of you is missing
yeah, totally.
when that person's not around. Well, tell us, how do people find out more about you, your music, where you're playing, and upcoming work that you have coming out? What's the website, socials? Where can they find out more about you?
So mfnowhere is a website. Um, Miles from Nowhere on pretty much all the social medias. There is another band from Texas named Miles from Nowhere, but mine is all lowercase with a period at the end. And my Instagram is Slow Down Records. So any of those things, you'll be able to find the music, what's going on, who I'm playing with, where I'm playing, all that good stuff.
We have been in conversation with Miles Evans-Branagh. Miles, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.